Hello, my name is Gabby. Today I'm going to be talking about cheerleading for my informative speech. I've been a cheerleader for 15 years total, 3 years here at Faulkner University, and I started out as a Pee Wee cheerleader. The first thing I'm going to talk about is divisions. You have your tinies, which are 5 years and younger. You have your minis, which are 8 years and younger. Your youth, which is 11 years and younger. Your juniors, which are 14 years and younger. And your seniors, which are 18 years and younger. The next thing I'm going to talk about is motions. The first motion that I'm going to show you is a high V. So with a high V, you want to make sure that your arms are straight. You want to make sure that your donut holes are showing, and it just looks like a donut hole. That's why we call them that. And then you want to make sure that your wrists aren't bent in any way. They have to be completely straight because that looks silly. So there's your high V, and then you have your low V. And same thing, you just want to make sure that your arms are straight and your donut holes are showing and your wrists are completely straight and not broken. The next motion is buckets. So it just looks like you're holding buckets in your hands. And then the next one is candlesticks. And you want it to look like you have two candlesticks upright in your hands. The next one is daggers. So if you're going to stab something, these are just daggers. And then you've got a break, which is instead of it being completely straight, you're just going to break it here in the middle. And then you've got a touchdown, which they're completely parallel to your head. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is when you're doing a cheer, you want to make sure that you're always very sharp when you hit a motion. So when you hit the motion, you're going to pop it, and it's just going to stick like right then. You don't want to bring it up like this or be like that. You want it to be super sharp because that looks very clean. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is projecting your voice. Whenever you're doing a cheer, you want to make sure that your voice can be heard in the stand so that people can cheer with you. And smiling. Smiling is the biggest part of cheerleading. You always have to have a smile on your face, look like you're having fun. Even if you're not, you got to look like you're so happy to be here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a cheer. So we do this cheer here at Faulkner University. It's called Eagles Yell FCU. Eagles Yell FCU, FCU. So as you can see, I was very sharp and I was smiling the whole time, and I projected my voice to be a little bit louder, and so that was a basic cheer that you can do. The next thing I'm going to talk about is stunting. With stunting, you have 3 different types of stunting. You have 2 people stunting, you have all-girl stunting, and you have co-ed. So with 2 girls, that's very self-explanatory. You have 2 people. You're going to have a base, which is the person holding the other girl up, and your flyer, which is the person that's going to go in the air. And I don't have any demonstrations for you for this, but I can upload pictures afterwards to show you. With all girl, this is going to be a total of 2 bases, 1 on each side, a back spot, which will be behind the flyer, and the flyer themselves. And they will load into a prep, which is going to be the girl hanging off of the 2 bases' shoulders. And then you'll go into an elevator, which is where the bases will have your feet right here to them. And then when you go up, you'll go up to an extension, and that's where the bases will dip, and they will put your feet all the way in the air, so the flyer will be all the way in the air at the highest point possible. And then the next one you have for all girl is a lib. So basically the bases are going to put their hands together to hold 1 foot, and so the flyer is going to be in the air on 1 foot holding 1 leg up and just going to hit a high V motion. So that's a lib. And then you can do all sorts of things in all girl. There's a lot of stunts that you can do because you have pyramids that you can add other people onto where other people are connecting with arms. So the next one you have is co-ed. Co-ed is 1 guy and 1 girl. And basically what they're going to do is the flyer is going to hold on to the base's wrist, and it's a guy. So you're going to dip, and then he's going to throw you all the way into the air and catch your feet. It's pretty impressive, but once you get it, it's very easy. And so the flyer is going to stand there as tight as possible so that there's no wiggling for any possible falling. And then there's a lot of things that you can do in co-ed. You can stand in your hands. This is called hands when the guy just has them right here. You can do an extension like all girl, where he'll put your feet all the way in the air, or he can go from hands and he can do a lib like all girl, where he'll put both of his hands right here and hold the foot flat. Or he can do one called a cupie, which is where he'll have your hands and he'll have your feet in his hands, and he'll take a dip and then he'll throw up and hold both feet in one hand. It's very hard, but it's very cool to watch. And then we have something called a chair for co-ed, which is kind of like a lib, where he'll hold the butt and the leg to hold it up. And from there, you can do all sorts of things. We have something called the pretty girl, and you'll turn sideways, and he'll throw up, catch into a cradle, and then flip you backwards to where you'll land. And that's a pretty impressive stunt a lot of people like to see. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is tumbling. With tumbling, you have basics like your back bend, or as people call it now, bridges. And then you've got your back walkover, where you'll go into your back bend and kick your feet over. You've got your back handspring, your round off, and your cartwheel. And then you get into things like sequences like round off back handsprings, round off tucks, and a lot of more really cool stuff. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the beginning or the halftime show. Performances are very important. It shows what we can do as cheerleaders, and it makes us look good. So in conclusion, cheerleading involves a lot more than what most people think. There's a debate going around whether cheerleading is a sport or not. I'm not going to go into that, but it definitely does require a lot of practice, just like any other sport.